Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Now today, oh boy, this is about to be one of my longest videos on the channel because today we are doing another soul-crushing review in Eternal Towers of Hell, but this isn't just any normal soul-crushing review. Today we are doing the Tower of Elongated Runs. This tower, otherwise known as TOER, is the second hardest tower in the game. Looking at the difficulty, it sits at around 11.85 high peak catastrophic. So, yeah, I also beat Tower Generation Failure earlier, so... But I probably won't do a soul-crushing review on this tower for like a little while because I don't want to do like a ton of catastrophic ones. So the next one will probably be an extreme or terrifying or something like that. But yeah, wow, dude, this is honestly crazy. New hardest, third CATA, and it's the second hardest tower in the game, bro. Before we get into this video, if you don't know what a soul-crushing review is, it's basically where I take a specific soul-crushing tower, insane or above, and I just play through the tower explaining what I like and dislike about it. I will also comment on my experience playing the tower, and I will also give you guys tips and tricks to help you beat the tower. Having this done is still so unreal, and this video, wow, bro, this is probably gonna be one of my best videos on the channel, like all the other catastrophic reviews like Todai and TOR2. And look at it, there in the distance. Starting off, the portal room is actually really good. As you can see, the portal is green, and let's get in to this soul-crushing review. Floor 1 is pretty easy compared to the rest. There's not really much to commentate on this floor, so I'll kind of talk about the tower for a little bit. This tower is known for its rather simple gameplay, but to make up for it, this tower is very long, as you can see by the name, Tower of Elongated Runs. But it's not just a long tower, it's a very punishing tower, similar to Tower of Cruel Punishment. Anyways, here's the two hardest jumps of the floor. These slanted jumps are pretty hard. This one you kind of just go up here, turn, and do that. I should actually get a keyboard overlay. I keep saying I should get one, but it just never happens because I keep forgetting. Another thing about this tower, as I said, the jumps are simple, so most of them on their own aren't very hard. But because there's so many, this tower can get boring very quickly. This tower is also choke point heavy because there are a lot of jumps that spike in difficulty, especially on floor 9. Anyways, here's floor 2, and floor 2 is easily the worst floor of the entire tower. This floor is really long, taking about 5 minutes on average, so this floor is one of the longest floors in the entire tower, so you guys probably can see why I said this tower gets boring very quickly. Anyways, for these trusses, you're supposed to go from this one to this one, but I kind of jump off this to the Kilbert, and then do that. Well, actually make it, but yeah. Just by looking at the gameplay, you can probably say that it's not the hardest, but you will see when we get to the second half. For this jump, I like to jump forwards and do that. And then here we have the outside section. Now, there's this whole side of the outside. Yeah, there's gameplay up here too. But it also goes around back here, so there's more gameplay to do. I feel like this is a pretty known fact, but there's actually an extra ladder under this ladder to prevent ladder dropping, so it's very helpful, but it's not on every ladder, so just be careful. This wrap here is pretty difficult. I like to set it up backwards and do that. Kind of like that. It gets pretty consistent with that strat. There's some simple wraps here. You can use T-pose here if you're not doing it fully legit, because why would you want to do this fully legit, please? This jump is honestly the hardest of the floor. Just kind of set that up like how I did it. You will kind of see that strat with lining your cursor up with the corner of the ladder, because there's quite a bit of jumps like that on the floors. To do this kind of thing with your camera, it's page down and page up, but some keyboards don't have that, I think. I don't really know about that. Oh yeah, I did that backwards, by the way. I don't know why I did that forwards. Anyways, that squeeze wrap, you're gonna see quite a bit of those in this tower, but they're not too bad if you're consistent enough. For this head hitter, I like to set it up like this. Go to about the last stud, and then just do a head hitter, but make it. You can even go like right here. You don't have to go like that much. That's probably why. Yeah, like that. Pretty consistent. Oh yeah, we're still on floor 2, and here's the instant kill section. So if you fall, you are dead. So what I like to do is I like to jump on it sideways, go to about here, flick off like that. Make sure you don't fall off these tie ropes. They're not that bad if you go slow on them. Okay, here's the slanted jump, which a lot of people say is the hardest jump of the floor, but honestly I can't really see it. What I like to do is kind of climb this, go to about here, shift lock, and do that. You're also going to see some of those wraps like that, where there's either a gap here on the other side or both sides, so they're not too bad though. There's a few hard ones. And then here we have floor 3 at last, and make sure you set these jumps up, because you don't want to get past 2 just to fail these jumps. A 1x7. I like to set it up like that. You can either turn like manually, or you can like do that, which I like to do. Anyways, floor 3 isn't that bad, but I've choked the outside part of it a lot. And then here we have the outside, which the first jump is not relatively that hard. It's this jump. I like to set up like this, use alignment keys, turn a little bit, and set it up like that and do that. It's honestly worked like every time for me. So now this jump, what I like to do is use alignment keys, go against the wall, and just do that. This was honestly super consistent for me. So you don't have to do it like that though, but that's what I would recommend. This jump, you're gonna lose all your momentum if you do it forwards, so kind of set up like this, like that. It's just a decently hard jump, so it's just take your time with it. Anyways, this part of the floor is not that bad. Here's the jump I was talking about. This is a decently long jump, so make sure you set that one up like how I did, or you can like do it a different way if you want. And then here we have the first of many shadow sections. They're not really that bad. You can choke them a few times, but they're overall, I never really had trouble with them. The trusses on this tower are not really that bad, but there is one specific jump that is very hard. This is a 10 stud wrap, so set this up. And with that, should be on floor 4. Now, in my opinion, this is where the tower actually starts getting good. 1 to 3 for me absolutely sucks. I actually hate those floors, and to be honest, who would? It's like 4 to 9 that are like actually good for me at least. 7 is pretty bad though. I don't really like 7. But yeah, for this I just use alignment keys and hold W and D in space until you get to the end. just kind of do that. Here you have one of the most infamous jumps of this floor is the left-sided 1x7. Now, there wasn't really a decent strat I found for this. I kind of just turn and do it like that because you can do it in third person, but it's not that easy. Well, it's not easy anyways, but just kind of figure out whatever works for you. You can always use alignment keys on those jumps too. This jump is underrated actually. I don't know why I find that jump so hard, genuinely. You can skip from here to this stud, but honestly I wouldn't recommend taking any skips on this tower regardless, because you don't know what it was like to be kicked on floor 10. Yeah, that's right, I got kicked. Because I actually took like 3 skips or something, I don't know, something crazy like that. But even though the kick was unfortunate, I did beat it like 2 days later, so it wasn't really that bad. What I like to do here is I like to go to the middle of this stud, turn a little bit, and do it like that. Don't turn early, turn later, so you land like right here. Not too low, but not too high. That is genuinely like one of the hardest jumps of like, not the entire tower, but one of this floor. This jump was also sketchy. I failed it like quite a few times. I like to climb in and do that. Another one of those jumps I was talking about. And here you have the GBJ, which isn't actually GBJ because you can literally just, okay, well, it's pretty hard. I can't jump, bro, but yeah, you can escape this GBJ. Here you have another slanted section, which is not too bad. I like to climb this, and kind of the same thing with the slanted parts on floor 2. This wrap is pretty hard, don't underestimate that. Now, what I actually did here, I jumped from here to the teleporter, but just do the wrap, please. I don't want you to get kicked like I did. It's really not that hard of a jump, but I mean, if you want to skip it, that's fine, but I would not recommend it. This jump I failed like twice. I don't know how, bro, it's not that bad. Anyways, here we have floor 5 and 6. These floors are widely known to be the dark floors. The floor is an instant kill. Yeah, the floor is an... Okay, I wasn't trying to prove my point there, so don't fall, but there is, I'm just going to show you real quick. There's a big block here. So the entire floor is not instant kill, so this can save you. On a floor like 5, everything is chokeable. Let's just say that. Everything is chokeable with nerves. Unless you're crazy and you don't have nerves on 5, which I always had nerves on 5, so that's why I found this floor to be choke point heavy. This is on a wedge, by the way, so go as much as you can and jump off like that. I actually played this tower on 2 graphics, but right now I'm using like 8 bars, but you guys can do whatever you want. These 2 jumps are very, they're not hard, they're just pretty long, so, and they're right over the instant kill, so careful with that. Careful with everything on this floor. Alright, this is a 10 stud wrap. That's pretty hard actually. And then here's a 1x7 straight after. You can save on that platform, so if you fail, hopefully you save there, but it's not guaranteed. Anyways, this jump right here, I think I failed that jump once. I don't really know. I think it's not that bad. You can do it from whichever side you like. And then here we have floor 6. 6 is honestly easier than 5. They're both like kind of the same difficulty, but what made 5 hard for me was the nerves. And I go at a slower pace, so redoing 1 to 4 would be an absolute pain, so that's kind of what made me nervous. Anyways, for this truss, you can either skip to this part, but like I said, please don't risk taking skips. I would recommend you just do that. Yeah, it's not that hard. That's a 10 stud, by the way. These jumps are kind of chokeable, but they're not really that bad. That jump's kind of hard when you don't have a wall to help you like set it up. What we can do is like kind of tap D until you are just slightly off. That's actually a really good strat. I don't know why I didn't use that more. It's kind of scary, but it works. Okay, you're gonna see like another one of these jumps on floor 8, so that's kind of what I do for it. I go to about here, turn sideways, and do that. So here at the beginning of the grind, I would usually just walk, but I started doing that. Whichever way you do is more comfortable, pretty much. Anyways, here we have an actual hard section of 6, so, well, all of it is pretty hard, but this is an 8x1. Not a 7x1, an 8x1, but the landing platform is lower and it's nerfed by that. So what I would recommend, turn, do the jump, and turn late. This jump is kind of weird. I'd say line your character up with the gap, and then do it, which was pretty consistent for me. I like doing it like that. Jump on it sideways, do that until you're in this kind of position, and then jump off. Anyways, this jump is last hard jump of 6. So what I like to do is I just set it up, turn a little bit, make sure I don't hit the wall, and do that. Pretty consistent for me, at least. Anyways, here is where the tower gets serious. These floors are very hard. The hardest you're gonna come across. Now, floor 7 is a big roadblock. It is a very big roadblock, at least for me and a couple other people that I know. They always struggled with floor 7 when they first got to it, and that's just true because floor 7 is just genuinely a hard floor. This jump is hard, actually. This is like one of the harder jumps of 7. This was my first PB of 7, is that jump. Anyways, here, this jump is hard. Set this up in the middle of the stud, turn to that, third person, do that, so you don't lose momentum. Alright, here we go, another slanted section, except this one is slightly hard, but my strat is actually a little weird. What I like to do is go like to the very bottom as much as you can, turn around, do that. It's kind of a weird strat, but it always worked for me, so that's kind of what I like to do. Anyways, go to the third or fourth stud and do it like that. That jump is so bad, bro. I never really failed it that much, but it's still pretty bad. Anyways, for this one, go to where this line is and shift lock, turn like that, look ahead, and do the jump. This wrap is also pretty hard, so set that up. This wrap right here, this, and do that. That was really sketchy. Make sure you just practice 7 a lot because it is genuinely hard floor. Anyways, this jump. Now this jump is without a doubt the hardest of 7. Whether you're consistent or not consistent, it is the hardest jump. What I did is I went here, turn like to there, turn around, and do that. Now, you do whatever works best for you, because that jump is genuinely hard. Here we have the outside. The first jump is definitely difficult. Go to the fourth stud, actually. A lot of people like to turn like that. What I found to be helpful is hold W. Hold A, but when you're like around this point in the air, hold W. So you have like a chance at climbing it. Once you get past the first section, floor 7 outside becomes pretty easy, I can't even lie. I mean, there's spinners, but I feel like if you're gonna fail, it's gonna be to nerves. I don't know how people do this. I don't know how. That never works for me. I like to do... Well, it works for me, but I can't do that under nerves. So I like to turn and do it like that. And then here you get a glimpse of the floor 8 and 9 music. And I forgot to say this, but overall this soundtrack is really good. I love it. I love me some extruder music. It's so good. Anyways, we're back inside 1.7. This ladder I like to climb down, turn, and do that. So it works pretty well for me. A lot of people will like try to do that. I have to go like right here to the 3rd stud, turn, do that. Alright, here's so you see all these walls on floor 7. These are all instant kills. So you can probably imagine the level of punishment on 8 and 9. Yeah, these are all instant kills. And when they become a problem is this part. When you jump, you are definitely going to die if you're up against the wall. A lot of people like to do that. I really don't like that. What I like to do is go to the middle of the stud, turn so you ledge grab it, and shift lock like that. Here is another very hard jump. That is one of the hardest jumps on the floor. You can also do that backwards though. Alright, last pretty hard jump of 7. Go to the middle of the stud. Bro, some of my strategies never work in practice runs or when I'm using VM, but anyways, you are now on floor 8. Welcome to the very scary parts of this tower. Remember what I said about the instant kills down here? Those can definitely get you, so please try not to fail because getting here is actually like a blessing. Anyways, this jump is kind of long. I like to set it up, but make sure you heal too. So if you have healing items, that's very helpful. And this jump, real quick, sort of like that. Honestly, that's kind of what I like to do. But just please experiment with that jump because it's very hard. If you've played Tower of Frightening Nightmares, you'll probably recognize this part. The invisible kill bricks, but they have the particles so you can see them. Now, when you're on 2 graphics, you cannot see the particles as clearly. You can barely see them. Now, that's where higher graphics comes in clutch because you can actually see them way better. So please switch if you're on low graphics already. You should be paying attention to the jumps more than your health, by the way. Anyways, you can either jump from here down to this part, but I like to jump to this part and go here. So this jump, you can actually go right here and just climb it. I don't know why people try to high jump this. I don't know why. Like, why do people try to high jump when you can just easily climb it, bro? Oh yeah, if the tower couldn't get any more nerve-wracking, there's an outside on floor 9. But we'll get to that here in a little bit, so. Floor 8, for the most part, isn't that bad. It's still very hard, but there's some. But for the most part, it's not the hardest gameplay. Okay, so here is the hardest jump of 8, in my opinion, at least. This is a 1x6. It's invisible. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is the 1 stud at the very end, right here. It is actually difficult to land on that. It is hard. You kind of have to turn sharply. And at the very end of the wrap, kind of turn sharply like that, so you can easily land the jump. Okay, so this jump right here, turn just about there. It's hard under nerves, I know. Oh yeah, here's the first buffed 10 stud of the tower. So there's gonna be a jump like this in the very beginning of 10. Right there, you can see it. But set this up, please. It is so important to set this up because if you don't set it up, you can easily fail it, and you wouldn't want to go straight into that kill brick. I imagine the nerves are going to be kind of high, so I would not recommend flicking off that and just rather setting it up. And here we go. Welcome to floor 9. Without a doubt, the hardest floor in the entire tower. This floor is not only punishing, It's not only long, but it has some of the hardest jumps of the entire tower. Take your time on this floor, please. I know you want to win. I know you want to get past it, but just please. So what I do here is, this long jump is actually pretty hard. I like to go to the middle of the stud, put your cursor right on that stud, and long jump like that. This jump right here, this is also a very hard jump. Set this up, but make sure your body is not at an angle to where it hits the wall. Make sure you're easily able to go through this kind of gap. Like that. The more you can set it up, the better, because that is just a hard jump. Here we have another shadow section. The first jump is not that bad, but this 2x3 is kind of muscle memory. This jump around the wedge is also pretty hard. Make sure you set this up. Here we go. The hardest jump of the tower, in my opinion at least. This jump is very hard by the looks of it. Now, landing it, the platform you land on is pretty big, but the problem is the gap. This is a 1.5 stud gap, not a 2 stud gap, a 1.5 stud gap. So a lot of people will just shift and do that. But what I like to do is, I like to set up on this line, turn, and turn sharply like that. I don't like to turn smooth. Sometimes I do, but turning smooth like that is like not really that, it's not really the best for me. I like to just turn sharply. Just definitely practice this jump so you get the hang of it, because it's just a hard jump. Here's a 1x7 stud wrap. This wrap is similar to the invisible 1x6 on floor 8 because it is a 1 stud landing platform, but this is easier because you can actually see it. This was my first PB of floor 9, was this long jump. Now you can either do it like that, or you can set it up like right here and do that. A lot of people use that strat, so I would also recommend using it, because the long jump is like a 12 stud jump or something, raised by a little bit. Welcome to the outside section. This jump is hard. That's kind of how I set this up. I go to the middle, align myself with kind of that part on floor 7 outside, and then do it. I would recommend you don't do it sideways, because this is what's gonna happen. You're not gonna be able to get in. That's a 5 stud gap. The Roblox character is 5 studs in height. That is not going to work. And the low ceiling section is not that hard, and then here it's stud. This truss flick is long. So go to here, turn, and do that. You can either just flick off that or do it like I did. Like you can just do this too. But I would recommend doing it how I did it. This jump can also be easily underestimated. Make sure you get enough height. And you also get a small hearing of the floor 10 song, so that can be nerve-wracking to know that floor 10 is soon. These jumps are underrated. These jumps are genuinely like long, so please take your time with those. Here, what I like to do is set it up right here, turn there, and do that. Make sure you don't accidentally walk off in the end. That can be very upsetting. But that's also just a hard jump, so if you fail that, like, it's actually kind of reasonable. These trusses are kind of overrated. I mean, I don't really see a lot of people say they're like the hardest thing ever, but I like to just set them up like that. Okay. Do you remember what I said at floor 3 outside? Set this up facing forwards and turn. And once you pass this wrap here, the chances of winning this run are very high, because this, oh my god, bro. Oh yeah, that's an instant kill, by the way. I actually kind of like the aesthetic of floor 9-8. I don't know, it's actually really cool. I like the gameplay routing. Like, there's just a bunch of random walls everywhere, and I like it. The gameplay is also just, like, really simple, which I really like. Just basically straight purism. Not really any client objects except for, like, spinners, kill bricks, teleporters. I mean, it's mostly purism, which I really like, actually. I was never extremely bored on this tower. The only boring part of this tower is really just 1 to 3, and maybe 4. Anyways, welcome to floor 10, the last floor of the tower. That is already the hardest jump of floor 10 because floor 10 is actually not that hard compared to 9 or 8. The real problem with this floor is the nerves. Also, some of these wraps are also kind of difficult. Anyways, that's really beneficial to set up backwards. This is one of the harder jumps of 10 too. Anyways, this is kind of just trust and ladder nation. For this ladder, I like to go here, turn, and do that. And actually make it like that. Oh yeah, for this ladder, I forgot to mention, you can actually just do that. But I would heavily recommend just going around the ladder because it makes the jumps significantly easier. Here's a thin stud. I like to set this up backwards and do it like that. Anyways, you are very close. Don't mess up now, please. This wedge, I like to jump. Just make sure I don't hit my head there, because you can easily hit your head there, so be mindful of that. I actually fluked 10, but, like, I had to do it all again because I got kicked. Got past 10 first try again, so 10 is not really that bad. It's very flukeable though. Anyways, Tower of Elongated runs. Personally, this tower was honestly kind of fun. This tower, it's not perfect, obviously. It's the first official catastrophic tower in the game, but for the first CATA tower, it's actually, like, pretty decent. I can't even lie. I also really like the gameplay, so that's probably why I kind of enjoyed this tower. Like I said in Tower Fractured Memories, I'm going to give every soul crushing a rating of 1 to 10, and honestly, I'd rate this tower like a 7 out of 10 because it's not like 8, 9, 10 out of 10 worthy, but I honestly still found it to be pretty fun, to be honest. Like, there are a lot of annoying parts, including floor 1 and 2 and 3, but once you get to like 5 and 6, like, it just gets better, honestly, and that's kind of what I like about it. Also, the music is awesome. Dude, this tower was like, I'm not gonna like frickin' say this tower is like awesome or anything because it's not really the greatest, but I still really liked it, honestly. I know some people who absolutely despise it. Anyways, the music in this tower, awesome. The gameplay by itself is really fun. I actually really enjoyed the gameplay, like I said before, but what else should I say about this tower? It's very scary. One of the scariest towers in the game because it's like the second hardest tower in the game. I don't know. I like the colors. I like the kind of... there's not much design to it, let's be honest, but I do like what it has to offer, and yeah. I think that's pretty much it for this video. Next video, I'm probably going to do the first catastrophic guide. I'm just gonna give, like, tips on how to beat your first catastrophic. I'll, like, briefly mention a few, usually the beginner catastrophic choices, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I actually kind of like making this video, I can't even lie. I mean, second hardest tower in the game? I can't even believe I still beat this, man. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.